So you want to play guitar for a living. I remember when I was 18, I was in the back seat of a friend's car, and I told his mother that I wanted to play guitar for a living. And I remember she said that I should be careful what I asked for. And I always think about that comment. It's funny. Some ways she was right, but most of all, not really. I really love what I do, but maybe it's not exactly what you think it is. So let's talk about what playing guitar for a living is, and whether it's something you'd like to do or not. Hopefully you will. First of all, my name is Drew Bentley. The channel is Learn Guitar with Drew. If you like what you see here, please hit that subscribe button, click the bell for notifications, and in the comment section down below, you'll find links for my websites and other guitar resources. Okay, so the very first thing about playing guitar for a living is you have to absolutely love it. You have to do this whether you get paid for it or not get paid for it. When I first started to try to do this, I had no idea how to go about trying to make a living doing this. And I struggled a lot, even more than I do now. I struggled an awful lot back then when I was first trying to figure this out. So you have to love it. You have to have a wanderlust to play guitar. When you wake up in the morning, you can't wait to be around your guitar. It's something that's been with me for a really long time. And if you feel like that, you're probably on the right path. It's definitely a labor of love. And if you really, really are passionate about it, that makes a big difference as to whether or not you're going to be successful doing this, because it's not necessarily the easiest way to make a living, and it's very rewarding and it's fantastic, but you have to love it. That's the first thing. I remember one time my friend and I went busking, which is like when you stand on the street corner and you try to make money, playing your guitar. And we didn't get any money, like zero, maybe like a quarter or something. It was really hard. So one time I had a gig where I was getting paid like $175 every time I played, plus tips. This was a really good gig. And there was a guy in the street outside of the gig, and he was always busking at the same time I was playing this gig. And I remember I used to give him like 20 bucks for my take home every time I saw him, because like he was on the street trying to make money, and I was in this nice club getting paid a pretty decent check to play that gig, So he loved it. He was still doing it without getting paid for it. So the idea is that if you love it, it's not about the money. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but you have to really love what you do here in order to try to do this for your job. The second thing is you have to be really open-minded. Okay, so you can't be really choosy necessarily about the gigs that you play. Sometimes you're going to play gigs you don't really want to play. Maybe you're playing styles of music you're not that super thrilled with. You have to be open-minded in everything that you learn, and all the different songs that you learn, and all the different styles you learn. The more you know, the better chance you have of being successful doing this. You have to be super well-rounded in order to get paid and to make a living. You have to know all your chords. You have to know a ton of songs. So be really open-minded about what you learn. I mean, obviously, we all want to be a famous rock star. When we're little kids, we want to be a rock star. We're all trying to make it as artists. But in the meantime, we still have to pay the electric bill. So the more open-minded you are, and the more you're willing to learn different styles and genres, and the more things you're willing to absorb, the better your chances are at success. Okay, so you also never want to pass up a chance for a performance. Like anytime you can perform, try to make sure you take advantage of that. Now, you have to know your value. That being said, you have to know your value. You have to know what your worth is. I really don't play necessarily for free anymore. I'll do benefit things because that benefits people, obviously cancer benefits and things like that. But I don't really go to jam sessions like I used to. You have to know what your value is, but when you're first starting out, maybe you can't really get paid an awful lot of money to do this. So don't pass up those performance opportunities. When you have a chance to play, go out there and do your thing, because the more you play, the better you're going to get at making all those mistakes and all the Murphy's Law things and all the things that come up and mess up your show and all the problems you could have. You have to experience all of those mistakes and all of those mishaps in order to refine your process and to get over the hump. So when you're on stage, you're not nervous and you're expecting things to go wrong, because they always do. So try not to pass up performance opportunities. The next thing is you have to be a self-starter. You have to be motivated, and there's no guidebook for any of this stuff. Like there's no way you can learn exactly what to do. Even if you buy 1,000 books, your journey is different than everybody else's journey. Like you can't go to school for this necessarily and get a degree that teaches you how to do something and then sit in the desk for the rest of your life and just do the same job forever, which I don't think that's really how anything really works. I mean, there's continuous education in everything. Everybody's always upping their game. But in this particular career, you have to be motivated and you have to be a self-starter. Like I got out of school, music school, and I had no idea how to make a living doing this. Like I learned how to play, but I didn't learn how to do anything else. So I was like, oh my God, how am I going to make a living doing this? And I had to figure it out. And there weren't really a lot of resources and books and things, especially then, to figure out how to do this. So I just kind of moved forward and tried to figure out how to make it work for myself. You have to stay hungry and keep trying to improve your game and figure things out as you move forward. And you also have to stay sharp and stay focused. Like you have to be really focused. Musicians are so not lazy. That whole misconception, the musicians sleep till noon and we sit around and we eat bonbons and watch Netflix. It's so far from the truth. We are really, really motivated people. And we're really kind of pushing the boundaries to try to get better at our craft. The next thing is you have to be self-taught and self-actualized, okay? So Pro Tools, my pedal board, Axe Effects, guitar setups, websites, social media, film editing, which I'm getting a lot of help with right now, album production, mixing, recording techniques, my teaching method, tone, how to get good tone, the gear that I use, the gigs that I play, booking gigs, working with booking agents, working with getting a live show together, figuring out set lists, figuring out all those things. There's so much stuff to learn that you could literally do this 24 hours a day, endlessly, and continue to keep getting better. But you have to be self-taught. There's really no guidebook that fits your exact situation for exactly where you are. The people that make it in this job, in this living, are the ones that keep trying to reinvent themselves and figure out how to move forward, and they just do it too. You have to do it. Like you learn from doing. You do it and you make a mistake, but if you're not doing anything, then nothing's getting done. So you have to be willing to just kind of roll up your sleeves and get dirty, make mistakes and grow and get better as you're making mistakes. But if you don't do anything and you never try, you'll never know. And every time you make a mistake, you can kind of, through trial and error, figure out what didn't work and what is working, and you can move forward that way. But if you don't try at all, but being self-taught and self-actualized is really important. The next thing is to learn from others. So that's kind of the opposite of what I just said. And accepting help from other people. There have been a great number of people that have helped me so far in my career, and you know who you are. If you're watching, I really appreciate your help. Thank you so much. I have a person behind the scenes right now who's really helping me with film editing to learn all the programs when it comes to editing. Like I learned Pro Tools. I learned all kinds of different programs and designing pedal boards and all the stuff about gears and tubes and gear and tubes and guitars and all this stuff. There's always another level. Well, film production is another level. I'm getting some help with it now, but I'm also endlessly watching videos and reading about how to do videos because that's where I'm at right now. And I love it. It's really fun, but it's another chapter in an ever-evolving career of making a living playing guitar. Okay, so thank you so much for everybody who has helped me so far. I really appreciate it, and I definitely mean that too. So you also have to kind of see and look what other people are doing and then absorb that. You kind of see what other people are up to, what's working for them. Kind of, you're doing your own thing, but you're also looking around to see what's happening around you. You can get ideas of how to move forward with your career from things other people have done, the successes that they've had. Now, you shouldn't completely compare yourself to other people. You drive yourself crazy. Everybody has their own talents and their own things to offer this great world of music and art in general. So it's not really about comparison to them. It's about learning what's working for other people so that you can kind of help to direct your path forward. The next thing is you have to become a computer whiz. Now, this is crazy. In the world we live in right now, like my 4-year-old plays with this little computer. It's a laptop and it also switches into like a little iPad. He's figuring it out right now. So because of guitar playing and because of this career, I've designed websites. I've designed WordPress websites. I've designed so much stuff with social media. The web is huge for all of us. We have all these different links that link to other things, recording techniques, figuring out Pro Tools, learning how to record a record, how to produce a record. All those different things are computer based situations, like learning how to do editing for film as well. So these are all things that I'm focusing on constantly, trying to improve my process when it comes to those things. The next thing is practicing. You have to be super disciplined to do this for your job. Okay, so again, you can't be lazy. Musicians are not lazy. We're not sitting around doing nothing. Like, I don't do anything but think about my next step about what I'm going to do to make my job successful. So there's no lazy. There is no lazy. You have to keep pushing forward, moving your craft forward. You have to be willing to learn all styles of music and practice them all. Like, as far as teaching lessons go, I have to know everything by everybody. And I'm not saying I do, but that's my goal, because you never know what kind of music a student might be into and what skill level they are and how far they've progressed themselves. So you're constantly trying to up your game so you can keep up with them. I've had a number of students I've had for 15 years, and I'm still always trying to come up with new and great and exciting ideas for us to study together to help them move forward with their path. Okay, so you can never stop learning. It's continuous education. As a professional guitar player, you have to keep learning. The next thing is time management. This is a big one. You have to be really disciplined when it comes to your time, comes to practicing, comes to getting things done. You can't just sit around and watch TV. It doesn't work. Maybe like 10 minutes every other day. You have to balance your family and work life. This is also really hard to do too. You want to make sure you have time to spend with your family because they love you and they need you. So you have to balance that and be really disciplined and take advantage of the pockets of time that you have to get work done, because you can't just waste that time or you're not going to have it. The next thing is you have to find other things to do besides playing guitar. Like exercising is really important. Lady Gaga, I've heard from her guitar player, when she's on tour, she's always in the gym. Like, she sleeps really well, eats organic food, and she goes to the gym for like 2 or 3 hours a day and exercises while she's on the road. Again, it's completely contrary to what people say about musicians sitting around doing nothing and being lazy. We're all exercising. We're all working really hard to try to do to better ourselves. And you also have to find things in your life that are important to do that aren't just music. Like, one of my bandmates once asked me if there was anything else in this world that mattered to me besides guitar. And I really took that to heart. I was like, you know what, there probably are the things I should do. Like Eric Johnson had said that at one point he should take off his lab coat and go outside because there's parks and trees out there that he could be like spending time in. So that's important too. Next thing is you have to be a people person. You have to network. You have to get along with others, okay? It's really important to do that. No, you can't be a prima donna. There's no such thing as a prima donna. There's always somebody better than you. There's always somebody more professional than you. There's always somebody else that wants the gig that you're trying to get. So you have to be professional. You also have to be a people person. You have to love other people and really care about them and get along. You can't fake it. You have to actually be genuinely concerned and interested in other people's lives, because that's what we're doing here. We're trying to share music. So you have to be very giving in that sense, because why wouldn't you want to be? Who wants to just sit there on an island, right? You have to be on time. My teacher in college told me once, if you're early, you're on time. If you're on time, you're late. And if you're late, you're fired. And that stuck with me forever, ever. You have to be on time or you will be fired. It's really important to be punctual as a musician, which again is converse to our natural inclinations of what we want to do. Being a people person is really important, okay? So you have to kind of figure out what situations work for you, and then those situations are going to work for you long term. Like, I've been in the same wedding band for 10 years. I love the people in my wedding band. I've had the same acoustic duo for like 20 years, and we're really good friends with. I like that guy's awesome. I have a lot of people in my life. There's another band that's kind of on hiatus at the moment because of this virus thing, but we're also a tight-knit family. I've got a lot of really close friends that I've made through music in my life, and so you have to be a people person. The next thing is you have to do your homework. It's really important to do your homework. You have to be prepared. Okay, so there was a gig once I had to play where I was getting paid a certain amount of money, and I had to learn songs, and it turns out there wasn't any music for it, so I had to figure it all out by ear. These were jazz tunes. It was really, really hard, like Taxi, like these really hard songs, but I was determined to do it, so I spent 100 hours studying for a 4-hour gig. 100 hours of time put into it, but I walked away from it having done a good job with the gig, and I felt good about it. So you have to be prepared. You have to do your homework. I have a checklist for gigs that I bring all this gear with me, and I don't forget anything because it's actually in a checklist, and I mark it all down, and I follow through. All my set lists are all super organized, and everything's super organized. It's all on these giant charts and lists and things. So organization is a big deal. You have to be super organized, and you always have to be trying to keep everything straight. You have to be a good teacher if you want to teach as part of your income. Okay, so you have to try to learn everything. by everybody ever. Obviously, that's not possible, but you have to be able to play multiple different styles. You have to practice your instrument constantly to get better. If you're not practicing, you can't teach very well. I have to practice all the time to stay fresh, to be a better teacher. You have to try to learn as many songs as you can by as many different artists and as many different genres as possible, as many different styles of music as you can possibly incorporate into your own thing. Then when you're a recording artist, your records may reflect that. My music's kind of jazz, blues, rock, classical, jazz, blues, rock, whatever. Kind of all those different elements put together. That's what I like. I like the power of rock, the feel of the blues, the sophistication of jazz, and the sort of arrangements of classical. I put all that into my own thing, but that's because I've been trying to study it for a really long time. You have to be a good reader. If you can't read music, you're in trouble. Not just reading charts, which is what guitar players do. Charts are huge. Reading chord charts is a big deal. If you can actually read real music, that's even better. Go through all 7 Mel Bay books. Go through the Berkeley books. Really learn how to read music. It's super helpful, especially if you're going to teach. It's really important. You have to learn all the technology, as much technology as you can possibly take. Keep learning about technology, and it's overwhelming. There's so much tech. Keep trying to learn as much tech as you possibly can. You want to develop your own thing. Just like your own style of guitar playing, you're going to develop your own thing when it comes to teaching as well. If you do this long enough, you kind of figure out what you have to say and what you are, what matters to you, and you're different than other people. Okay, really important to have a thick skin as a professional guitar player, okay? So a friend of mine once said that musicians get hired and fired every day. It's so true. You can try out for a band and not make it, and you're trying to figure out why it didn't happen. There was one time I was playing a gig and my amp wasn't working. And this guy came up to talk to me and he's like, "Hey man," I said, "See you. My amp wouldn't work." So I was like, "Can I just talk to you at a break?" I came home and on my answering machine was this like really horrible message. He left me. He wasn't happy that I wasn't going to talk to him at that moment in time. It's okay. Lots of haters out there too. It's okay. You have to have a thick skin. Not everybody's going to love what you do. You can put something out there and you think the world's going to just like gobble it up, and then you may get zero response and zero reaction. It's okay. As long as you're trying the best you can, you have to pay attention to the journey and not to the result. You have to have a very thick skin in this business because not everybody's going to love what you're doing. It's the way it is. I mean, we're all different people. We all have different likes and tastes and dislikes, and it's just how it is. So a thick skin is really important. The next thing is you have to not compare yourself to others all the time. You have to want to support other musicians. We're all brothers and sisters in the same cause. This is so huge. Like guitar contests are so silly. I've been in a number of guitar contests and I've won a number of them, but it's so silly. It really is. This isn't competition. We're all trying to help each other. We all want to help each other grow and get better at what we're doing. And if you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comment section. I will gladly get back to you. If anything I can help you with, I'll try to help you with, like everything I've learned along the way. We're all somewhere on the path here trying to get better. You want to think of this as a family, and you want to help people out, and you want to try not to be too competitive, but instead be nurturing and help people grow at doing the same thing that you're doing. That's how we all get better, and that's how we all raise the bar. The next thing is you have to adapt and grow. It never stops. You have to keep growing to find different revenue streams. As a musician, you have to find money in different places. It's like trying to go through your couch and find money there, find money in the jar, find some money under your mat in your car. It's the same thing with trying to find gigs, trying to find money through different avenues. You need streams of revenue. You have to adapt to do that. Constantly reevaluate your game. Figure out if what you're doing is working. And if it isn't, try something different. During this pandemic, I've kind of used the pandemic to start making maybe some different decisions I wouldn't have made without the pandemic. Like I've had the same teaching studio with a partner for 15 years, and now we're kind of like half shut down, 3/4 shut down. So I've learned how to teach effectively online with Zoom lessons. I do it all the time. 4 days a week I'm doing Zoom lessons. I still teach some in person, but mostly Zoom lessons. I've made about 125 backing tracks for playing live shows by myself, and it's fantastic. I probably wouldn't have had the time to do that, but I put the time in, and now it's going really, really well. These videos, I always wanted to take YouTube seriously, and now I really am. So I'm adapting to my situation and trying to grow because of what's happening around me, and it's an ever evolving process of getting better. The next thing is you have to have the proper equipment. Every musician that I know, every professional musician has a $50,000 room. This room I'm sitting in is ridiculous. Like it really is crazy. I think if I wasn't here, my wife would have no idea what these things would work. I should probably write down what every single value is for everything. Like, I know the joke is you tell your wife you spent $5 on a guitar or whatever. No, really, like, there's so much gear you need to do this. You need the PA system for live performance. You need a good microphone. You need lots of good microphones. You need the right amps. You need the right guitars. You need the right this, the right that. You need to make choices about what's going to work for you and what's important for you as far as those things go too. It requires a lot of reading and a lot of research and a lot of mistakes. I've had 22 guitars. And I have 8 left. So actually one was just given to me by a dear friend. So sometimes things like that happen too. And thank you so much. I really love the guitar and I love you. Thank you for the guitar. So there's always the gear thing. You have to take your gear seriously. You have to figure out what works for you and what's important for your craft. And you also have to be updating and keeping your gear updated. You have to make sure your strings are changed, make sure your intonation's good, make sure all of your stuff works, and something is always broken. I could give you a list of 15 things right now that need to be fixed. It's a constant battle, but we have to keep our gear up to date and working. Okay, so the last thing is that well, I guess along with gear, I created this studio too for filming and making lessons. So I've got 3 studios, like my son always says. You're going to your office, you're going to your other office, you're going to the stage, or you're going to be in your office at home. And I've got 4 workspaces, 3 workspaces, 3 offices, and then ultimately wherever the stage will take you. That's a million different offices. But the point is that you have to have all of that stuff lined up, and it never stops evolving. Probably the most important thing is that this is a life of service. We are here to help other people feel better, to help them grow, to help them get over a bad day, spiritually help them. This is a form of worship, I guess. I mean, ultimately, all of our music comes from the Creator. We're not creating anything. It's all a gift from the guy upstairs. Be a person of service. I'm trying to help you, hopefully right now, to figure out if this is a career path that would work for you. You want to give back. It's not about what you get. It really is not about what you get. I think Chris Rock said the difference between somebody who has a job and somebody who has a career is the person who has the job is thinking about the money they're going to get paid. The person who has a career is like, I just got paid for what I just did. Like, you're not, no offense to anybody who's working hard for a living right now. I waited tables for 7 years before I figured out how to make a living playing guitar. I've been there. But I don't take it for granted ever. And I never worry if I'm exactly far along the path as I'd like to be. I'm just trying to keep moving forward. There's always somebody who's doing better than you. There's always somebody who's further ahead than you. Hopefully they're of the mindset to reach back and give you a hand to lift you up and help you in your journey to get better. And then you should give back too, pay it forward kind of thing. This is a fantastic job. I love it. I wouldn't trade it for anything. I would do it if I didn't get paid for it. Luckily, I do get paid for it. So anyways, hopefully this will help you. There's a lot of information there. I said a lot of things, but this is important to me because a lot of kids have asked me, what's it like to play guitar for a living? Well, should I do this job? And I try to come up with a proper answer. If all of these things sound like there's something you'd want to do and you're that person who can't wait to get out of bed and play the guitar every day, you're that person who just looks at a guitar and marvels at how beautiful it is, and just looks at guitars all day and can't wait to learn more and more information about it and to listen to more players and learn more things, more techniques and styles, and learn all about the guitar community and the history of it all and everything that's come before you. If you're that person and you can handle all of these different trials and tribulations I've talked about, this is definitely the right job for you. Okay, well, hopefully this was helpful. Thank you so much for checking out the entire video. I'm glad you're still here with me. Please watch some more videos on the channel if you'd like to take some guitar lessons. I also teach private guitar lessons too. You can sign up for lessons for Zoom, or if you're in my local area, in person as well. Please leave a comment in the comment section down below if you have something you'd like to add to the conversation. And as always, I can't wait to see you at the next lesson.